This summer, after Meat passed away, we felt like we needed a change of pace. So we headed to Europe for 5 weeks. In the next 6 videos, we're going to take you along as we explore Frankfurt, Germany, Vilnius, Lithuania, Riga, Latvia, Tallinn, Estonia, Stockholm, Sweden, and Vienna, Austria, before heading back to Mexico City and continuing on our Mexican adventures. We hope that you enjoy this holiday break from our regular programming. Well, welcome to Stockholm, Sweden.
After a quick 2-hour flight with a stopover in Helsinki, we dropped our stuff off at the hotel, the Sheraton, and now we're out trying to find something to eat.
Yeah, we're both starving, and so we are currently in front of Mom's Kitchen, which is supposed to have some of the better meatballs here in Sweden. And of course, that's the mission, to eat as many meatballs as we can while we're here.
Well, that meal was really good, but not that filling.
Yeah, this is their only meal of the day. We were traveling in airports all day, and we didn't have a very long layover because we had a little bit of a delay. So I think we might head on to the food hall and maybe grab a little after-dinner snack.
Our second dinner. We got to be honest, we're having a little bit of sticker shock here.
Yeah, we went into that food market, and I was thinking about getting that little kind of toast thing that we had the other day in Tallinn, where it's like the rye bread, and then they put the cream cheese, and they put the salmon on top. And we paid €6 for that in Tallinn, and here it is $27.
It's crazy.
And so I'm just having a little hard time. We walked around the market. It was very, very beautiful. And then we decided to come to a kind of craft beer pub. The burger was $16. The fries were $4. I got 6 chicken wings for $11. And most painful, my beer was $15, and David's beer was $11. And they were 400 mils, not the half liter that we were getting.
For like 5.
Yeah, so
€5.
We're trying not to let it like affect the experience, but at this point it is just a little bit. I'm having to definitely recalibrate what is expensive to me, because after so much time in Mexico and then the Baltic states, obviously my perception of prices is not fitting what the prices actually are here. So
yeah.
Today is our first full day in Stockholm, and as you can see, the weather is gorgeous.
Yes, we have rain again, but we're not going to let that stop us. Our first stop of the day is headed to a highly rated bakery for some coffee and some of the famous Swedish cinnamon and cardamom buns.
unfortunately, it was just a bakery and they didn't have any coffee.
Luckily, just a couple doors down, though, there was a cute little coffee shop. We'll put the name on the screen here. Highly recommend it. The cappuccinos were excellent. We were able to sit inside, since the weather was not great, and enjoy our cappuccinos as well as the buns. The cardamom bun was really good. You could tell it was really well made. For me, the cardamom was a little bit overwhelming of a flavor.
Kind of reminded me of soap a little bit.
Yes, you got these kind of notes that were just like sometimes overly perfumey. And to be fair, I don't like any of the rose flavored desserts either. I think that rose usually tastes kind of soapy to me too. But the cinnamon bun was excellent. It was like a more grown-up version of a cinnamon bun. It was not gooey or sweet. There was no frosting on it. It was just a really lovely pastry dough with cinnamon woven through it. So highly recommend both. We got on some public transportation, and we have now come to the Royal Palace, which is actually right in the center of the Old Town, so it's very easy to get to. I know some palaces are kind of located 30 minutes to an hour outside the main city, but this one's very close, so we're gonna go get some tickets and head in.
So after we arrived at the palace, we were able to go into the chapel for absolutely free. And then after that, we went across to buy tickets for everything else.
Yeah, so the main ticket allows you into 4 different exhibits, and then we added on the exhibition, and that was $480 for the both of us, so I think like $45. The royal apartments is the part I'm most looking forward to seeing, and that's what we're going to see first. But you do need to look online before you come, because if the royal family is here, then that part is closed. And from what I've seen online, that looks to be the most impressive part. So we're going to go check it out.
So after the royal apartments, we went down the stairs and went into the Three Crowns exhibit.
This exhibit covers the original castle. Apparently, almost the whole thing burned down. It was like 1697. And so this exhibit goes over the whole past of the original castle. And you can go, it's basically in the basement, so you kind of see some of the original foundation and brickwork and stuff, and they have some models and some paintings of what it used to look like.
And a little bit of furniture that actually survived that fire.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. It definitely wasn't as cool as the apartments, though. I don't think anything's going to beat that. That was awesome. But I think our next stop is either going to be the Treasury or the Gustav's Antiquity section, whichever we can find first. This is a really large, expansive palace, and so we'll find a map and see what's next.
So we ended up finding Gustav's first, and it was really small but very cool.
Yeah, they had it set up just the way it had been set up in the 1700s, and they had paintings from the 1700s showing that. So you could take a photo from the exact spot that a painter did back then. So I thought that that was really neat. I think that our next stop is probably going to be the Jubilee section.
Treasury was the smallest exhibit that we've seen, and it was very, very crowded at the same time.
Yeah, I have noticed that as the day's gone on, things here have gotten busier and busier. We got here at about 11, and it's almost 1 now, and people just continually show up. I think it opens at 10, so maybe we would have been better off to get here even sooner. The Treasury was cool, though. They had a bunch of crowns and scepters and even swords from the monarchy over time. And it was neat to see how detailed some of this stuff was before there were laser etchers and things. So overall, I really enjoyed it. It did take us
a couple hours.
Like I said, almost 2 hours to see everything. We saw everything kind of fast. You definitely could take more time. If you're one of those people that reads every plaque and looks at everything in detail, I'd probably plan for about 4 hours. So after we finished the Palace Museum, we tried to go to the big, beautiful pink church that's really close by. Put the name here because there's no way I'm going to pronounce it correctly. But they actually wanted $8 per person to go see the church. And honestly, that was just too much. Since all we do in Mexico is see churches for free all day, we just couldn't stomach it. So we went a little bit further down the street, and
now we're at St. Gertrude's, which was free to enter. You had to kind of stay at the back and look around, but they have some really beautiful stained glass and a gorgeous gold organ.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend stopping by here. You can't beat free, especially in Stockholm.
We just finished up our excellent lunch at Tradition.
Yeah, we started with 2 beers, and we got the beef tartare, which was excellent. Then I got the traditional meatballs, which were so much better than the meatballs I got yesterday. I thought the meatballs yesterday that I got were good, but these, whole nother level.
I got the pork dumplings, which are very excellent, like a potato dumpling with allspice flavored pork.
Yeah, the allspice was a very strong seasoning in there, and I really enjoyed it. We each got a glass of wine with our main dishes, and then we did 2 different tastings of schnapps. The flavors were really unique. One was birch and lemon. Another one that we got was like caraway and apple. We also got
some hay and raisin.
Yeah, hay and raisin. That I think was really, really good. I think it was our second favorite one, but our favorite one was a cardamom and caraway that was aged in sherry and whiskey barrels. So really, really good. Nothing like schnapps we have in the U.S. It's much stronger and much, much, much less sweet. So we really enjoyed those, hence the 2 rounds of tastings. So we tried 6 in total. And the total actually wasn't really that bad. We just had to compare it more to U.S. prices, because when comparing it to the Baltics or Mexico, it felt expensive. But comparing it to Charlotte, North Carolina, actually not that bad.
After lunch, we took a long walk to the center of Stockholm to appreciate some of the impressive architecture on our way to our next stop, which was the Medieval Museum. After all of that sightseeing, we were ready for a beer and snack, so we made one more stop before heading back to the hotel. Today is our second and last full day here in Stockholm, and our first stop was at City Hall.
The building is absolutely massive and super beautiful. There were a ton of people standing outside, and when we went inside to get tickets, we found out that the reason they were all standing outside is because you have to do a guided tour. And it looked like there were going to be 60 or 70 people in the group, so we decided to pass on that. It was 140 kroner per person if you want to do that. They also had a tour where you could go up the tower, and those tours are both every 30 or 45 minutes. And the one for just the tower was 90 kroner, but we are just not a fan of doing things in giant crowds. So also today it's actually sunny, but it's only supposed to be sunny till early afternoon, so we're gonna try to make the most of it and see as many things as we can while it's sunny, and pass on the inside of City Hall. But you may want to do it when you're here. Just know it's a big guided group.
We took public transportation to Carlsberg Palace.
It's a bit of a hike, even if you get off at like the last public transportation stop. Still think it's like another kilometer, 1.1 kilometers. But the weather turned nasty on us, and that is one thing we've noticed in this whole kind of Baltic, Northern Europe area, is that the weather changes just like that. And so then we got downpoured on. There wasn't a whole lot to see at the palace. It didn't look like it was open, but there was a really great view across the river. So we took a few photos, took a little video, and then we got right back on that public transportation. And now we are at an absolutely beautiful church, and the door is closed. So I'm not sure if they're closed or if we're going to be able to go inside, but we're going to go check it out if we can. Wow, that church was absolutely gorgeous. It was very modern, but very intricate, very beautiful, had amazing paintings, a gorgeous organ, and it was free, which apparently is a rare thing here in Stockholm.
And afterwards, we made the short walk to the public library, which is pretty interesting inside. It's a big circular building.
Yeah, if you're in the area, I'd recommend stopping in. If not, I wouldn't go out of your way to come here, but of course it is also free, and the architecture is pretty neat. I think our next stop is actually going to be to grab something to eat. David's a bit hungry, and I found a place that is supposed to have like the best fish soup in all of Stockholm, which is supposedly a thing, and they have fish and chips too, so it looks pretty good. So we made our way into the basement of the food hall, and we both got a glass of Riesling. We've got some waters. We've got the famous fish soup, as well as some bread here. And you can see it's a cute little restaurant with nice little tables and everything. Really cute place.
The fish and chips have arrived. We just finished up our lunch, and it was delicious.
Yeah, highly recommend that place. The fish for the fish and chips and in the fish soup were super fresh. The fry on the French fries and the fish were perfect. There was this herby butter that they put in the center of the soup, and they had unlimited fresh bread that you could dip in the butter, and it was so good. Even the Riesling wine was nice. So I definitely recommend that place, and it is very reasonably priced, especially for Stockholm. Yeah. So we're on to go check out another church, and then I think we might head to a museum. We'll see.
So we able to see the church, and then we stopped by the beautiful theater building.
The church was another one that was free to enter, so that was great. And unfortunately, they were doing some construction in front of the theater, but it still was really pretty. It was raining pretty decently at that point, so we jumped on a tram, and we are now at the Swedish History Museum, which I heard kind of starts in like Viking times and goes to modern day. So I'm pretty excited to see. How much was the
300
entry?
for both of us.
So not cheap, but hey, what here is.
finished up in the Swedish History Museum, and we were actually here for 3 hours.
We never take that long in a
No.
museum, but and we didn't actually even really see all that this
No.
museum had to offer. So this is definitely one you could easily spend all day in. We spent a lot of time in the Viking Museum section. We read most of the placards there. And then they had a medieval life and religious art section that we spent a lot of time in, because if you've watched our channel before, you know I absolutely love churches and religious art. So we looked at a whole ton of that. They had pieces that dated back to the 1100s, which I just haven't seen a lot of items that old before and in such good condition. They'd restored some of them really nicely. So we enjoyed that part. They also had just a general section on the history of Sweden, but everything was in Swedish. So they had these little papers that you could walk around with that had everything in English numbered. So we just kind of walked through that section pretty quickly. Yeah. A lot of interesting stuff to see in here if you're into history. I highly recommend this museum. I think this is one of the best museums that we've done.
Yeah.
And like I said, we could have spent another couple hours here, but I think we're going to go check out one more building, and then I think we've earned some beers.
Some beers, yeah, for sure.
Well, after the History Museum, we walked a short distance to the Nordic Museum, which I think is the most beautiful building we've seen in Stockholm. So I definitely recommend heading out there. The reviews for the actual museum were kind of mixed, but the building is gorgeous. And then after that, we strolled down the waterfront. They had a bunch of boats docked. They had a bunch of restaurants, most of which were closed. One even had a sign that said open sunny days. I turned to Dave and I said, what, do they make money 20 days a year?
Maybe.
Because we haven't had too much sun when we were here. And even though today was partly sunny, that place was closed.
Then we jumped on public transportation again, and now we're heading to Ice Bar.
This is going to be our last stop here in Stockholm. Tomorrow we have an early flight to Vienna, and then the following day we have a flight to Mexico City. So we're going to get maybe 6 or 7 hours in Vienna to explore. So we're going to call it a night a little early, but I've not been to an ice bar before, and I'm looking forward to the experience.
Well, Ice Bar was a bust.
Yeah, apparently they're completely booked for the day. I had read online that you could just wait for a few minutes, and since they limit people's time up there to 30 or 45 minutes, they get through a crowd pretty quick. It seemed empty, but they said that they were fully booked for the evening, so we will find a plan B for our last drink in Stockholm.